Harry Potter, a series that whenever its name is uttered, elicits a variety of responses. And the response to the Harry Potter series for HBO that has just been announced is no different. I, for one, think the Harry Potter reboot series that HBO have just announced is a terrible idea, and in this video I kind of just want to delve into why. And before we get into this, I'm not going to be covering the actions of the author, J.K. Rowling, in recent years, because frankly, I don't feel qualified enough to talk about them at length, and there are plenty of other people who have done way more in-depth analysis of that. I just want to talk about why I think this is a fundamentally flawed idea for a TV series, pretty much. So yeah, this has been rumoured for a while, the idea of a new adaptation of the Harry Potter series that would be in the form of a TV series, the idea being presumably each year would be a new series in the vein of the books. It's a decade-long project, apparently, and yeah, it's going to be one long, continuous adaptation of the books in the form of a TV show. You know, like the 7 movies we had just over 10 years ago. Yeah, I don't see a need for this. Now, don't get me wrong, I've heard the argument out from Harry Potter fans, and just so I kind of give you my context as a Harry Potter fan, I guess, I was really into the original films, read the first few books as a kid, but when that film series ended, I was done. Fantastic Beasts came out, I thought it was below average, and I never really looked back since. And looking at the reviews for those Fantastic Beasts films, yeah, it doesn't look like I was missing out on much. All of this is to say that I'm a former Harry Potter fan, so I empathise with the perspective that there were things that were cut from the films that would be nice to see adapted into a TV series. However, I would make the argument that a lot of things that were cut from the films was done to streamline them and make them a more enjoyable experience. And even if you disagree with that, I do not know whether there's enough new material in those books, if you're doing a faithful adaptation, which this supposedly is, according to reports, to justify a new 7 series long, or however many series long adaptation. There's also the matter of cost. Those movies cost a lot. Keeping up that production value for a series is going to cost even more. And as we know, HBO/Discovery/ whatever they are at the moment hasn't been doing well for quite some time. They're in huge debt, there's been various mergers, there's been cancelled projects left and right that have then caused more financial problems than if they'd have just released the projects when they were done, like Batgirl and the Scooby-Doo films. It's a mess. HBO's a mess. And as I said before, the Fantastic Beasts films happened and they flopped. They were not successful, and basically it seems like both Harry Potter and Warner Brothers as a whole are in a bit of a rut. So this seems to be their attempt to revitalise both of those things. We'll do a new version of an IP that has historically made us money, and that will be the thing that saves Warner/HBO. Problem is that there's a lot of roadblocks for this being successful. There's also the matter of, as I said, I don't think there's enough there to adapt from the books to justify a whole new 7-series TV show. What are you going to do? You're going to add in Peeves, the Ghost, and like, when they say it's going to be a faithful adaptation, how far are they really going with that? You know, are we going to have the scene where Hermione says that they should abolish the slavery of the elves and everyone calls her like an idiot for it? How faithful is this really going to be? Because I make the case some of those things will count the films for a reason, because they didn't track very well. You know, same goes for like the anti-Semitism connotations with the goblins. I don't know, I just don't think there's enough there to adapt, and what is there to adapt, some of it's probably best left on the cutting room floor. There's also the issue of casting. Whoever gets cast in this, especially the kid actors, are going to get hounded on the internet relentlessly. Because on one hand, you have people who oppose J.K. Rowling's views when it comes to transgender people and all that. Again, we're not getting into that. But on the other hand, you have your average, everyday Harry Potter fan who's grown up with Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, and Rupert Grint occupying those roles. And for some people, they are those characters. They can't see anyone else in those roles other than those 3. Now, you might be wondering, why not just make an adaptation of Cursed Child or something? And that's because none of them want to come back, so they're left with the option of rebooting and basically getting a cast that theoretically would be more open to doing that in the future. That's super theoretical, and also the Cursed Child would need significant rewrites in order for that to be anywhere near good. So as I said, there's going to be immense pressure on the cast. I don't think there's enough to adapt. I think HBO is not in a strong enough position to sustain it if it doesn't do very well. And then we come to the teaser itself, which obviously I can't say is going to be a complete indication of the Harry Potter reboot itself. But if you look at the teaser, it's using the John Williams theme with the original logo and the same Hogwarts castle that they used in the movies. So the message that sends to me is pretty clear. All the iconography is the same, which indicates to me they're not going to be deviating that far from what the films did. They might have some new scenes, but all that really indicates to me is that, oh, it's going to be new actors doing a longer version of the same story we've already seen. And at that point, I have to ask, what's the point? Why bother? The movies are there, the books are there. Why do we need another version of them but longer? Especially when Hollywood in general, not just Warner or Disney, all of them, have a massive, massive originality and creativity problem. It's true, everything is a reboot and a remake. You could have just made anything else and probably would have had more good faith going into it from various parties than doing this. I don't know. I think it's one of the most creatively bankrupt decisions I've ever seen coming out of a Hollywood studio. And yes, I include the Disney live action remakes there. Because at least there, they do something different with the format, right? You know, there's a difference between an animated film and a live action film, and they are quite heavily adapted in some cases. Like things like Maleficent or Cruella or whatever. They at least try to do some new things with some of those remakes. Not saying it's good, far from it. Not saying it's justified, but at least there's some sort of reason for those films to exist. This has zero. It's not been long enough, and the format probably won't be different enough to justify a wholly new adaptation. I think it's a terrible idea, but maybe you guys think differently. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you